Hey guys, welcome back to Reignited and our twin charged Magnum project. Now you guys know that we are counting down the time to make it to the Redwood Rally event. Now that is in just over a week's time. As of this filming right now, it is Sunday, September 17th. And yesterday we had a bit of a problem. I was out doing some tuning. I was driving this thing around, trying to refine that tune. Thought I was being very cautious with what I was doing because again, I'm not super knowledgeable with the tuning process. So thought I was being pretty cautious with it. And I was doing more of a load or boost run, and all of a sudden the thing falls on its face, it's misfiring, and it's sounding wounded, and it's smoking out the back. I'll go ahead and insert a clip right here. Now I have to admit that really just devastated me. I was really bummed out. The only thing I could think of is that I had done something too aggressive with the tune and that I had melted a piston, because that's exactly what it was acting like. It was acting like I melted a piston. There was so much smoke boiling out the back. I was thinking, hey, we've got just oil just shooting in the combustion chamber, blowing through this thing, and just smoke absolutely everywhere. So I was thinking melted piston in my head. I was thinking that's it. Event's over, we're taking the C10 instead. So pretty disappointed, especially after all this work that I put in. And honestly, I didn't even really want to look at the car. You know, I'm sure you guys know how that feels. You know, you're just in one of those situations where you've been pushing so hard and it just kind of goes wrong on you. And I was just like, I can't deal with this thing right now. I got to set this thing to the side. We'll deal with it after we get back from the event, try to diagnose what went wrong. But I'm also the kind of person where I can't let it go, and stuff like that is just going to irritate me if I can't figure out exactly what it is that went wrong. So today being Sunday, I was like, you know what, I gotta get out there. I gotta at least try to diag this thing. I wanna get the spark plugs out and stick my bore scope down there, see if I can see which piston it was that was melted. As long as I can verify that, then I can tell myself, okay, you melted a piston, that's it, it's over. Forget about it, deal with it later. And that would at least ease my mind as far as that aspect of it goes. So that's what I did. You guys can see that I kind of took things apart a little bit, just enough to where I could get those spark plugs out of there and take a look. And I think I found something rather interesting. So here we have our spark plugs. Now you'll notice here, this is in cylinder number 8. Look at the strap. It is pushed flat against the electrode on there. And that is the same on cylinder number 2. Both of the spark plugs are smashed flat. And then on cylinder number 5 here, we have one of them right here that is smashed flat. Now the only thing that will cause that is if you have something rattling around inside the combustion chamber that's actually pushing physically onto that strap. Now here is cylinder number 8. This is the top of the piston you're looking at, and you can see all of the marks here from whatever it was rattling around inside that cylinder. Now similarly, this is cylinder number 2, and there's a pretty good marks here along the edge of the piston. Again, this is another one of those cylinders where those spark plug straps were smashed flat. Something else that shocked me quite a bit, I was anticipating that after seeing the spark plugs, that whatever it was that went through the intake manifold probably tore up our turbo turbine wheel as well. But the fins are absolutely fine on this. No damage whatsoever at all. You can see there's no witness marks of anything having gone through it. So I still don't know exactly what it was that went through this thing, but the turbo appears to be okay, which is really good news. All right, you guys, here's the deal. It is Monday, September 18th, about 3 in the afternoon. I came home a little bit early from work because I just can't live with myself if I don't at least try to fix this thing before the event. If need be, I'm gonna try to take tomorrow off to see if I can actually yank this engine, take it apart, replace the parts that need to be replaced, and put this thing all back together again. I know it looks like there's a lot of stuff here, a lot of complicated stuff, but the good thing about having built it all myself is I kind of know it all really well. So this stuff's all gonna come apart, and I'm gonna see exactly what's wrong with this thing and what we need to fix it. I do have a lot of parts just kind of lying around here. Hopefully I have everything I need. However, the one big stumbling block here that could really make it to where this isn't going to happen is if my supercharger is damaged internally. If they're not all marked up and marred up and it still looks like this thing's going to make some boost, then we can continue with engine disassembly and actually yanking the engine out of here. So that being said, man, we are on the time crunch now. But I've got to do it. For personal reasons, I just have to do it. I've worked so hard on this thing. I know you guys are interested in seeing this thing go down the track. Even if it goes really slow because it's not tuned properly, I know you still want to see it go down the track. I want it to go down the track, and I want to take this thing on the event. So let's get into it, guys. That would make sense. Remember when I said that this 3-bond sealer is really strong? Yeah, it's really strong. We have got just a ton of aluminum up in the intake manifold here. Where did this aluminum come from is the question. Looking at that, it kind of looks like a piston, but I'm not really sure. We're gonna have to do some more investigation there. A little bit of good news, a little bit of bad news. So the good news is that the supercharger is just fine. I'm not seeing any problems with the lobes on those rotors at all. They look great. So I think we can continue with actually trying to rebuild the engine. So that's the bad news. Apparently it was my tuning if a piston came apart. I think the only thing I can think of is that I might have gotten a bit aggressive with the spark timing, which still doesn't make a ton of sense because the air fuel ratio was still like 11.5 to 1 when it let go. So I don't know. Again, that's what happens when you're really not too proficient on the tuning side of things. I'm kind of guessing, I'm kind of fumbling around. So if I do get this thing back together, I'm definitely gonna be even more conservative with this thing, especially with the timing. Make sure it's down where it needs to be, and hopefully that'll be enough to actually get us through the event. So for right now, let's keep going with our disassembly here. We need to start taking a bunch of this stuff apart so we can get that short block down there and actually see if we do have an actual piston failure, which is what I'm assuming. So. All right, so guys, as you know, I went ahead and deleted the MDS on this engine, so I have these plugs installed here, but I decided that for fuel mileage reasons, I'd really like to make this thing a 4-cylinder again. Check it out. Now, if you're wondering, yes, I am going to start offering some tuning classes very soon to show you guys how you can achieve these exact same results and get the same kind of fuel mileage as I am. Now, I know there's got to be a few of you who are thinking, hey, how did you break all those piston ring lands? I thought you opened up those piston rings and opened them up for boost. And you know what? I sure thought I did too, but apparently not quite enough. Now, as far as the reason why this actually happened, I don't think it was a fueling issue. I think it was a spark issue. I think the spark was too aggressive. That was something that I really wasn't paying a ton of attention to. I was really focusing more on the fueling side, and I don't think I had a good setup in the tune that I was using already. I think it was more just like a factory tune, which is way too aggressive. I had changed some stuff, but again, because I'm such a novice, I don't think I really looked at it closely enough. And again, was just focusing on the fueling side. So even though the vehicle was running pretty rich, it was still running like 11 to 1 when this problem happened. I think the spark was actually just a little bit too aggressive. Now, that being the case, I don't really see a ton of signs of detonation in there. Like the pistons themselves don't show detonation, but you can tell that there was some really high combustion pressures in there as a result of breaking all these ring lands. So that's my best guess currently, to be honest. There's a few guys who probably know a lot better than I do. It's a Tuesday. I took the day off work today. I'm listening to the Hot Rod Drag Week live stream in the background while building my engine. I mean, you guys get it. This is what we do, is stuff like this. So overall, not a particularly bad day. Let's go ahead and get this engine put back together. I'm gonna go ahead and open up that ring gap even more because clearly the amount that I did it was not enough to prevent it from breaking those ring lands. So I have a spare engine here. We're gonna yank the pistons out of that engine. I'm gonna take the piston rings that I already have. I'm gonna open those up just a little bit more, put those on those pistons, put those back in this engine. Is it really the best practice when you're building an engine to be cobbling stuff together like that? Probably not, but this is the time frame we've got. It's literally 1 week to the day from the event. Let's start building. All right, you guys have seen me put this thing together enough times, so I just went ahead and skipped ahead to get everything all back together again. Now, a few things I've done here is I went ahead and checked the fuel system, made sure there weren't any leaks here, and I also primed the oiling system, make sure we have good oil pressure before we actually fire this thing. So it's all back together again now. Let's go ahead and see if this thing fires. Oh, another note too is that one good thing that has come out of all of this is that I didn't want to have coolant in the engine while I was running it on the racetrack. It's better if you just have straight water in there. But I was also being lazy and didn't really want to drain all the coolant out. Well, pulling the engine all the way apart pretty much solved that problem. So now we just have straight water in here right now. So if we do have a problem on the track, we won't be inconveniencing absolutely everybody else for a huge length of time anyway. All right, that being said, let's go ahead and get this door open, try to fire this thing up, see how it sounds. Now we have an exhaust leak. That's noticeable. Well, the engine seems to run okay, but we definitely have a pretty big exhaust leak going on here. I kind of have an idea of where it is, but I'm not gonna fix it tonight. It's already late. I'm gonna go inside. I still have a couple of days left, but it is all back together again. It seems to be running okay. I did install a new tune on this thing with better spark tables in it, basically covering what this thing should be doing, keeping it nice and conservative. And then I also updated the fuel map just a little bit. So after we get this exhaust leak fixed, I'm gonna go out and drive this thing. We're gonna get some data logs on this thing, see exactly what it's trying to do, and hopefully not blow it up again in the couple of days we have until the event. All right, you guys, I wanna thank you so much for watching as always. We'll see you next time on Reignited.